Hi class. So our last lesson was on geometry and shapes. Today we're on geometry, but we're going to be looking at volume. So this is found in Swun 9-4 through 9-9. Last lesson we had a lot of vocabulary. This one we have a little bit of vocabulary, and then we're actually going to be solving for volume. So our goal is today I will find the volume of rectangular prisms using a variety of methods. So our first vocabulary word is volume. So we need to know what is volume in order to solve. So the volume is the amount of space inside a 3D object. So you might have a fish tank and it might ask you what's the volume that the fish tank holds. So it's the amount of space inside that fish tank. Another thing that we can measure volume is our pencil box. How much space is inside of that pencil box? Cubed. Our next word is cubed. So cubed is their answers for volume. We're going to get to the formulas in just a second, but when we find volume, it's going to be length times width times height. Each time we are multiplying the answer by the same units, so feet times feet times feet. So if there's three things that are the same, we use a little exponent that looks like this, feet cubed. And we just say feet cubed. We don't say feet times feet times feet. So whenever you finish your answer, say it's 6 feet cubed or 6 cubic units. So this always, something cubed always goes at the end of your volume answers. It might be inches cubed, and cubed is going to be a little exponent 3. Our next word is a rectangular prism. That is just a 3D box. So this right here would be a 2-dimensional box, but once I make it 3-dimensional, now this is no longer just a box, it's a rectangular prism. Next is area. So our area is length times width. That's of a 2-dimensional shape. So remember when I had just my box, that's 2-dimensional. This is 3-dimensional. And then our answer is in inches squared, because we do length times width. If it was inches times inches, we would have two of the same things multiplied together, so we have our little exponent for inches. It could be centimeters squared, but it's always squared or to the second, so we could put squared units. Okay, now we're on to our note section. So we're going to be talking about something called height. So when you think of someone's height, you don't think of them lying down. You don't think of them diagonal. You think of them standing nice and tall. That is our height. So the one that is vertical is going to be our height. Volume. So volume is the amount of space inside a 3D object, but how do we solve for it? We have two formulas. So our first formula is base times height, and base is the area of the base. And we just found the formula for area right here. And then volume is length times width times height. So if I have my rectangular prism right here, my width right here and my height. So that what's going back is going to be my width, cross is going to be my length. Again, these two are called formulas. And now we're on to our steps. So our first step is going to be write the formula. Second step is fill in the numbers. And then you're going to solve one step at a time, no skipping steps. No combining steps. Do it one step at a time. And then you're going to add measurements cubed, not squared, but cubed, because we're dealing with volume, so it needs to have that little 3, the little exponent. It's not always feet, it might be inches cubed or centimeters cubed. Whatever unit's listed, that's the one that you use. Okay, I'm getting out a red pen. We're gonna solve it. This question says, find the volume of this rectangular prism. So I'm looking here and it says, write the formula. So I'm going to use the formula, length times width times height. Length times width times height. I'm going to look at my little picture, my length. So I'm going to fill in the numbers. My length is right here, so it's 7 units, so I'm going to put a 7 under the L. My width is this one going back, this one going back, which on this one, this is the same as this one. So my width going back is 4. And then my height, the one that's up and down, that one's 4. Second step is solve one step at a time. So 7 times 4 is 28 times 4. So now I have to do 28 times 4. I don't know that fact on the top of my head. So 112. Add measurements cubed. So let's see, units. So I need to have 112 units cubed, or I could say 112 cubic units. Okay, so I solved with one formula. I'm going to solve now with the other formula. So my other formula is base times height. So volume equals base times height. And here I need to find what my base is. So I'm actually going to shade in my base in red. This whole section that I just colored in, that's my base. And we know that this one was 4 units because it's the same length as this one. So 4 times 7 would be my base. 4 times 7 is 28 times my height. My height right here is 4. And then I would multiply together and I would get 112 units cubed. Either way we solve it, I get the same answer. Okay, I have one more that I'm going to show you. Okay. Let me check this out really quick. So this one says, find the volume of this rectangular prism in cubes. So here are cubes, and sometimes they won't even give you the units. We got lucky on this one, and we would have to count across for my length. Remember, this one is, let's look look at our picture again. We have our length, our width, and our height. So this one would be my length. This one's my width. This one is my height. So I would have to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which matches what they gave me. My width is 1, 2, 3, which matches what they gave me. And my height is 1, 2, 3, 4. They gave me that. So I'm going to write my formula, and I'm going to use volume equals length times width times height. So my length is 5, so now I need to fill in the numbers. So L is going to be 5, W is going to be 3, and height is going to be 4. Now I'm going to solve one step at a time. 5 times 3 is 15, and then times 4. 15 times 4, I know 15 plus 15 is 30. 30 times 2 would be 60, but I'm going to show it off to the side. 15 times 4, 4 times 5 is 20. 4 times 1 is 4, plus 2 is 6, so I get 60. And then last step, add measurements cubed. So units cubed. Okay, we are getting out our guided practice. I have my green pen. So now we need to write the formula. So we have volume equals length times width times height. And then we need to fill in the numbers. Again, length is the one that goes across. So here is my length. So I'm just going to write an L. Going back is my width. And then the one that's tall, standing up tall, that's going to be my height. So I need to fill in how much the length is. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Height is 1, 2, 3. Width is 1, 2, 3. So now I need to plug in those numbers. Length is 4, width is 3, height is 3. Solve one step at a time. 4 times 3 is 12. 12 times 3 is 36. And then add measurements. There aren't measurements, so it's going to be units cubed. Okay, we have one more. We need to write our formula. So volume equals length times width times height. I like to use this when I can't clearly see the base. For here, I can clearly see what the base is. I could color it in, so I could use that other formula, but if I can't, I think this formula is easier to use. So this is my length, this one's my width, this one's my height. So now I need to plug in the numbers, fill in the numbers. So 7 times 2 times 5, and then solve one step at a time. 7 times 2 is 14, 14 times 5, I'm going to need to do that off to the side. 5 times 4 is 20, 5 times 1 is 5, plus 2 is 70. And then I need to add measurements cubed, so centimeters cubed. Okay, you have 2 practice problems, and then rate your understanding. Have a wonderful evening.